Such as a senior talent acquisition specialist. Other previous roles include regional management trainee at World Youth Alliance, a trainee at Tourism Regulatory Committee and Southern Sun, Mayfair, respectively. She's a certified Lumina Select practitioner. What does that mean? And she's currently undertaking her professional certification in human resource. She holds a degree in hotel and hospitality management from University of Eldoret. So just say hello and tell us what this certification means.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Lumina Select is a certificate that allows us to also assess personality when we are placing candidates. So alongside your skills, do you fit in a role based on your personality? Thank you very much.
The last panelist here is called Onsongo Mitaki. Onsongo Mitaki is an HR associate with two organizations, Stellar HR Solutions, where he is the lead consultant, and Komi Consult Africa, where he is also the lead consultant. He specializes in CV revamping and career strategy development. His specialty is in human resource and law. Please say hello and also.
Hello, good evening.
Yes.
Yes, tell me about yourself. Why should we hire you? Why did you apply for this role? So I'm the typical person who will always ask those questions. So my name is Onsongo Mitaki, HR Associate Stellar Solutions, and the lead consultant at Komi Consult Africa, where we deal with CV revamping, career strategy, LinkedIn profile optimization, and interview strategy. So I hope we will catch up later and you'll get to learn more from us as we also teach you a few insights here and there which are able to help you in your different careers.
He's the one who is going to conduct the interview. It is not mock. And the candidate has already been selected among you. He is going to be selected. So all of you have applied, but we are going to shortlist and then select the interview candidate from among the congregation. At this point, I would like to welcome them to make a presentation, and then we will go into the interview. Thank you very much. Please welcome.
Thank you, Elder. Good afternoon again. All right, so I'm here to discuss CV writing, which is the area I'll be covering, and then Gertrude will take us through the other bit of what HR professionals look for when we get your CV. So even before we get to discussing what entails CV writing, those of us in this room right now, how many of us have updated CVs? Like if I was to ask you for your CV right now, you'd give me an updated CV. By a show of hands? All right, great. So I'm seeing a few hands are down. The reason I'm asking is because as a job seeker or anyone just keen on growing in their career, it is very important to always ensure you have an updated CV. You never know when an opportunity will arise and you need to apply, because you oftentimes get people who apply for jobs with a CV that is not updated. And I don't know how to emphasize this enough. It is a big turn-off to HRs when I call you and the information I hear on the phone is different from what is on your CV. So please always ensure your CV is updated at all times. Now, what needs to go into your CV, or what should you put in your CV? So there are very many formats that you can use when you're creating your CV. And at this point, I want to say there's no right or wrong format. A CV just needs to communicate critical information. Remember, it's the first point of contact between you and your potential employer. So it's very important that you put in that document everything you want them to know before they even call you. So at the very top or the header, it would be important for you to put your contact information. And here we are talking about, of course, your full names, your phone number, and make sure it's a working phone number, and your email address. So that would go at the very top of the CV document. Then next, and right after that, is a professional summary. So what does a professional summary entail? It talks about your skill set, you know. So I'm an accountant with this number of years of experience. Of course, you can mention briefly the education background you have, although it's not necessary. Talk a bit about your skill set as well in terms of, because in the different fields we have skill sets that are required. So for an accountant, what systems have you used? For an engineer, what softwares are you conversant with? So that is what goes to the professional summary. Now, most of us tend to have very long professional summaries. Please remember, it's just a summary of who you are, yeah, in terms of career. So it needs to be very brief. Then, after professional summary, you come to your education. And here we recommend that you start with the most recent. If you're currently undertaking a course or a certification, that is what you start with. So you work backwards. The most recent would be, for instance, a bachelor's degree, after which you mention your secondary school qualification. People no longer put primary school on their CVs. It's not really necessary. But you always start with the most recent educational qualification that you have. Then after that, now you proceed to the work experience bit. Again, here we recommend you start with the most recent place of work. Some of us have a tendency of starting with the very first job you had in 2009 or way back, but it is right for you to just start with the most recent, working backwards. So when you're detailing your work experience, 3 things you need to capture is 1, your position in that organization, of course the name of the organization, and the duration. How long have you held this position for? Some of us tend to leave this out, and sometimes it's hard for a recruiter or a HR person who comes across your CV for them to tell, okay, so Gertrude has worked as a receptionist at this hotel, but how long has she been there for? You tend to leave that detail out. It's very crucial that as you detail your work experience, you capture those 3 things. Highlight the name of the company, clearly indicate the position you're currently holding in that company or previously held, which is your last job, and then how long have you been in that position. So that would go under work experience. Now, still under work experience, now you come to the key responsibilities or duties. Again, don't use a lot of space, writing 15 to 10 responsibilities, of course, depending on the level of seniority. But just capture the main things that you do in this role. So I'm a receptionist. What am I tasked with? Front desk management, email correspondence, such like things is what you capture. Again, avoid being too brief, but also don't be too wordy in your explanation. So that comes under key duties and responsibilities. Just before we go to CV writing, still under work experience, after you've detailed your duties, there's another segment you'll create called achievements. So what have you why it's important to have achievements listed there is you'll enter an interview and you'll get questions like, so what have you achieved in this position? You've been with this company for 3 years. Remember, if you have this information on your CV, it becomes very easy for you to, at the top of your head, talk of, I've been able to turn around this very fast. I've been able to change the way people are treated at the reception. So always indicate what your achievements have been in the different organizations you've worked. So that becomes the format you use when you're talking about work experience on your CV for every other position you've held. Now, let me talk about bad practice that some of us tend to do is leave out. You worked for a company, things did not go well, and you decide, I'm not going to put it on my CV. Of course, there's going to be a gap. So it doesn't matter what happened in this organization. Remember, if assuming the fault was not on your side, and even if it was, and you've learned from the mistake, please always include every position you've held. Like, just detail your work experience clearly. I cannot emphasize that enough. Don't wait to surprise people in an interview and be like, actually, I worked at Airtel, but it's not on my CV. How do you explain why it's not on your CV? It's already a red flag. So someone will be like, why are you hiding it? And of course, I'm going to mention also, if it's a short contract or just a job you held for a few months, that can come at the bottom after you've highlighted the other positions. Then you can talk of, they normally give it the heading other work experience. You can detail that bit at the bottom. So that's all about CV, I think. Did I cover that? Okay, now including additional information in your CV. So we've talked about highlighting your achievements in the different position. You can choose to do it in 2 ways. So either you put it at the end of every position you've held, or once you've detailed all your work experiences, then at the last bit, you include achievements for all the roles you've held. It's up to you, it's how you choose to do it. Just make sure there are achievements that are relevant and that can give you an advantage when it comes to an interview. You can also talk about other things that you've done, presentations, lectures, you've taken part in community services, if you've won an award for something, if you're a member of a professional body, and if there's any consulting work, like we've said, or what we otherwise would call other work experience, you can feel free to indicate that there as well. Now, there's the last bit that talks about describe your personal interest. Again, depending on the job, don't really encourage a lot these days for people to put their hobbies on their CV. But if you're applying for, I don't know, a company that's big on sports and you like playing sports, you could add it there, but that's optional. The other bit you're going to mention about CV writing is the referee bit. So of late, with the data protection laws, we now have the option of not including referees on the CV until we get to the point where now we're doing a background check. But should you decide to include them, please make sure that they know that they're on your CV. So here's what I mean. You want Mercy to be on your CV as a referee. Don't just put her number and her email and fail to notify Mercy that you're on my CV as a referee. It is just good practice and professional to tell someone, I'd like to have you on my CV as a referee. Please note that you might be contacted at any point to give reference about my experience. And if they give you a go-ahead, then proceed to have them on your CV as referees. You have Eldofuga on your CV, and Eldofuga is called, and they're like, I don't know who Mercy is. I don't know why she put me on her CV. So already it leaves a bad taste in people's mouth. So always consult, and if they give you a go-ahead, proceed to put them. But like I said, with the new data protection laws, you can just say references to be provided upon request. You don't really need to put. And at the end of the day, should you decide to put, then make sure you have at least 3 people on your CV as referees. I believe I've covered it? Great. I think I'll invite Gertrude to take us through the next bit, and we can take any questions at the end of the presentation. Or after the mock interview. Yes.
Should we go for questions now, or we? All right. I don't have a presentation, but there's a question that we asked about how many of us have their profiles on LinkedIn? Are they updated? Are they updated? So if a recruiter was to go, squeezy, we are on social media, so if a recruiter was to go and look for your profile, is it a profile that would invite you for an interview? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? So now, why are we talking about LinkedIn? Why are we talking about LinkedIn? LinkedIn has become a major reference point with regards to interviewing or resourcing, talent resourcing. If you are afraid of the social media, we have no choice but to embrace it, isn't it? This is where COVID and all the disruptions have taken us to, and it is a good thing to have because it is making stuff much, much easier. So one of the reasons why you should be on LinkedIn is because you get to establish your professional brand. Yeah? So always have it updated. If you are struggling a little bit, we have experts here in the panel who can help us to revamp it in a way that it can attract the right traffic we need. The other advantage is you get to find your next opportunity. We've talked about that. You're able to build professional memberships. So on social media, sometimes this business of liking, following, sometimes can be very interesting, yeah? But when you're looking at it from a LinkedIn perspective, you're able to follow your mentors, find out what they're doing, get insights from various professionals, various institutions, writers, and be able to if you have those side hustles, LinkedIn becomes a very, not even side hustle, your business, LinkedIn becomes a very good platform to advertise your business there because people are always out there on social media looking for whatever products it is that we're looking for. Now, I'll leave it, with regards to LinkedIn, I'll leave it at that. The other question I have is how many of us are looking for internships? And how many are looking for internship opportunities? Good, thank you. Only one person. Only one person. 6 hands, eh? Okay. Okay, yeah. So the next question is, how long have you been looking for internship? Has it been months, years? Have you been applying to other various organizations? Anyone who would like to share? Anyone? Oh, you're missing out on opportunity for internship. Maybe we have potential employers here. You don't want to speak up. So what I'm trying, okay. We have organizations out there that actually call out interns. They bring them on board. They train them and prepare you for the work environment. I don't know if you've heard of any. Have you heard of any? No. One such organization is Rise and Learn. They have a segment where they call in my steps. You can actually go to LinkedIn and look for them there. What they do is that they have a pool of interns, and they partner with various organizations. They will train you on how to, what is expected in a work environment. And then if potential employers, they have partnerships with potential employers. So if they come and look and find that it's a skill they're looking for, they're able to hire you and give you internships. So there are many other different ways of looking for internships. I know the conventional way is going out or looking at employers, but please look for these other organizations that are able to support you in terms of giving you the skill that you need to be able to do well in your organization. Let me not dwell much on that. I think we can talk about that later. But right now, either questions or we go to the next.
We go to the, may all those who raise their hands as interns, please rise. All the interns who raise their hands above their heads, may you please rise. All those who are looking for internship, please rise. Okay. Who is in engineering sector? Engineering? 1, 2, 3. Okay, the others, please sit. The engineering, please remain. You are in which engineering? You are in which one? You are in? Survey. So telecommunication takes it. So please, others, please sit. So you are the candidate to be interviewed. Please come for your interview. Shortlisting is normally staged. Now, shortlisting is staged. This you must understand. Well, how companies shortlist. You will send applications. The applications are many. There will be criteria that are analyzed so that a candidate is selected. Once the candidate is selected, the candidate is interviewed. So this she did not know.
Okay, I'll allow you to introduce yourself first. Tell us your name, educational background. Yeah, only that, only that.
My name is Monica Waswan Nahumicha. I studied electrical and telecommunication.
I told you to just say your name and education, only that.
Okay, yeah. So I've studied electrical and telecommunication engineering at Moore University.
Okay, fine. So I will begin the interview. So just to give you a brief of who I am, my name is Onsongo Mitaki. I'm the HR associate, S.D.A HR Solutions. So S.D.A HR Solutions is a HR consultancy firm. We offer or provide a wide range of services like recruitment and selection for different organizations, HR audit, performance management, soft skills training, organizational structure, and other more services. So today we are looking for an intern for one of our clients in the telecommunication industry. So we are looking for an intern, basically someone who is able to handle duties and responsibilities of an intern position as far as the telecommunication industry is concerned. And you happen to be one of the applicants. So tell us more about yourself.
I completed my studies a month ago from Moy University. I am passionate about telecommunication. I've been in school for 5 years. I've learned many skills, including computer programming. I've also been taking part in activities like hackathons and expositions. So I really love the industry. I would love to better my skills and also be of service to my employer. Other than that, I also want to generally improve where I'm not okay, where in my other skills that I've already acquired. Yes.
So what are some of the skills that you have acquired, and how do you think you are the right fit for this position?
So through my undergraduate period, I served as publicity secretary, which enabled me to interact with websites for the organization. It was the Moy University Technology Students Association. I learned how to do web design out of interest using HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. I've also learned programming. Recently, I was doing a project using Arduino. And then I've also learned project management through a project that I volunteered under IEEE.
Okay, interesting. So where do you want to see yourself in 5 years to come?
In 5 years' time, I would love to, I'd love to own my own startup, but before then, I intend to work and gain the skill. I'm passionate about networking. I'd love to learn that something new. And then based on the skills I already have, I would probably love to manage somebody's website or some communication system. Yeah.
All right, so you are an intern.
Yes.
No work experience, nothing.
No work experience, yes.
So what do you think are you going to bring in to the table in terms of your skill set, competencies that are able to make a difference in this organization and rather help us to achieve our goals and objectives as an organization?
Can you please repeat the question,
All right, fine. So you are an intern, no work experience, nothing. What are some of the skills that you think you have and competencies that are able to make a difference or add value to this organization to help us achieve our goals and objectives as far as that position is concerned?
So one, I am hardworking, I'd say. I love putting the effort. I love seeing the results from what I've done. And then number two, I love working with people. I love working with my team or a team, in a team. And then three, as far as social media or managing communication through the websites, I am very creative. I love coming up with new ways and new ideas of presenting if it's a website for say, I love ensuring that there's a new thing on the website, maybe new theme, new way of reaching the clients. Yeah.
All right. There's something that we say, hire for attitude and train for skill. What is your take on that?
Well,
Hire for attitude and train for skill. What is your take on that?
well, I'd say I have the right attitude.
First, what do you think is the most important and why?
Well, I'd say the attitude, because for my case, I don't really have the skill, but I'm eager to learn, and I'm willing to add value to my employer or whoever takes me. So for me, I'd say I have the right attitude, though honestly, I don't have any skill currently. I don't have much skill to bring on the table.
Are you willing to learn?
Yes, I'm ready to learn.
Case closed. Come to work on Monday.
Thank you.
I think I could not find a reason why I could deny this lady that opportunity, because she has demonstrated that, of course, she doesn't have the skill, she doesn't have the competencies, but she is able to learn. She has the right attitude, and more importantly, she has the qualifications, which she has mentioned is the degree. So I think on that basis, I don't see a reason why I should deny you that opportunity. So you have a job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is analyze the candidate communication, candidate dressing, and candidate responses.
All right, I think, sorry, I forgot her name. Who? You're Janet?
Monica.
Monica. Yes, I think her responses were very direct. I like that she did not beat around the bush. I also like that she came to the interview acknowledging she does not have the work experience, but on her fingertips, she could state the skills that she has that are required for the job. So if it was me as well, I think I would immediately hire her.
You've done well after ambushing you, eh?
Thank you.
Sema mpige makofi kidogo bana. You held up so well. Initially, when you're starting, we could take, now this is, okay, we could sense your voice, from your voice, eh? But he took time to help you calm down a little bit. Yeah, so that is one of the things we do sometimes when a candidate comes on board and you can sense that they're a bit uncomfortable. We give them a minute or so without you noticing to be comfortable. In terms of your responses, spot on, and I think that is what most interviewers look for. Just be spot on, don't beat around the bush, telling very many stories. The biggest funny question that we always ask is, tell us about yourself. Be on point about it also. It does not have to be, oh, I went to the primary school, you know, all those other stories. So just be on point. What are you passionate about? What are you pursuing right now? Who you are, in simple terms. And the other things keep coming as the questions are asked. So you've done a good job. Yeah? You're well prepared, I can see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think just two issues for the interviewer. The issue that you are asked, hired for attitude and trained for skill. Would you explain that to the congregation? And then the other thing is, would you clarify the place of competency and the competence areas that are appropriate for the job market?
Okay, thank you for that. So I'd begin with the first question on hire for attitude and train for skill. Particularly for her, because she is an intern, of course, there is an approach that we usually take. I think only these professionals might understand that we hire for attitude and train for skill. The reason why we do that is because we can hire you, but if you don't have the right attitude to do that job, then believe you me, we will not deliver. You will not deliver anything. And we will have no reason to have you on board if you are not able to deliver anything. So that is why we really emphasize more that we really need to hire on attitude. And skill, we can train you while you are on the job, like on the job training. So we really emphasize on attitude. So the winning attitude, like you have mentioned, I think Gen Z, you usually have an issue, to be honest, especially when you are beginning your employment. Your attitude is not really fit. Like mostly, we will find that there's a lot of issues between you and your manager. You don't like the management style, and many issues. So the point is, you should work on your attitude. You should know why you have applied for that position, and you should know what the employer expects you to do. And you should also let the employer know what you expect from them. In that, so both of you know each other's expectations. And from that, then I think issue of attitude would not be a problem, because you already know from the onset that this is what I expect, this is what I'm being given in return. So the employable competencies, skills and competencies, I think these are things that make you outstanding. For every position, we need someone with that skill, or rather a competency, for them to handle the duties and responsibilities that come up with that position. So if you demonstrate to the employer or the hiring manager or the recruiter that, yes, I have these skills, communication skills, interpersonal skills, and more other competencies. For example, in civil engineering, I have this and this, I am able to do this and this. So all that is what constitutes skills and competencies. And they should be on the first page of your CV for us to know, because the volume of applications is many. There are so many people who are unemployed. So we rarely take much of the time looking for the skills and competencies in your CV, especially when it's too long. So the point I'm putting across is they should be on your first page.
Perhaps if I can add to what he has said, some of the competencies we're looking for is flexibility, agility, problem-solving ability, fostering creativity, conceptualizing strategy. These are things, so, and just because I've remembered she mentioned hardworking, it's no longer a term you can use in an interview. It's been overused, yeah? So just think of something else that employers are now looking for. You know, I'm able to adapt quickly to changing environments. That is what now employers are keen to hear. Those are the competencies we are looking out for.
Thank you very much. Employable competencies have now changed. So please take care of it. The last question to all of you now. She mentioned in her interview that she is preparing in 5 years to her own startup. Was that a good mention or not?
So I'll begin. In 5 years, she wants to start her own startup, which is fine anyway, because we don't limit someone to stay in the organization for as long as many years. So I think that now comes back to us as an organization. What is our strategic plan in terms of workforce planning? Like, what are the kind of people we are expecting to have 5 years to come? What are the right skills and competencies are we expecting from these people? So if she intends to start her own startup, I think there is nothing wrong with that.
All right, so of course there's nothing wrong with that, but I've seen people lose opportunities simply because they threw that line in an interview. I hope to start my own business. So then the employer thinks, huyu amekuja kuiba clients, and after 5 years, she'll move with them. So it's a very risky statement to use, unfortunately. So there's no safe line to it, and I always say just desist from, it's your own goal. You can keep it to yourself, but there are 5-year goal plans that you can share in an interview, even in terms of skill sets, you know, having, maybe getting your PhD or something. But hiyo ya kuanzisha my own company, I'd discourage it, I'm sorry.
I tend to agree. It is good to have a goal. There's nothing wrong with that. It's good to have it, but especially, as my colleagues have mentioned, mentioning it in an interview can go either right or wrong. So you can easily lose an opportunity because of that, because the employer is looking at recruiting somebody who will add value in that organization for a certain period of time. So for bringing it up, I think, can either go for you or go against you. So just the best thing is keep it aside, bring out skills or competencies that the employer is looking for, and move ahead from there. No, you're not lying, but you just...
Yes, thank you very much. I think we'll take your comments on how did the interview go. Is there any question you have for this organization? Then and then we can let you go before we take the questions from the congregation. Yes.
So I'll start with how the interview went. I wasn't prepared for it, honestly, so I think it was okay. I've tried to answer the questions in the best way I could. And then now first of all, I have a question to the organization, then now to the panel. So to the organization, as an intern, what opportunities do you have for me? How long will I be an intern? And where are you going to place me in the organization?
Now, to anything else you want to ask?
Yes.
We are making you think that because you will be asked, after the interview, you will be asked, do you have any questions for us? Don't be surprised. Oh, Be prepared that they will ask you something. So it is better to be prepared than not to be prepared. As you approach the interview, be prepared. Is it something, what are the timelines we are looking at for this position to be occupied? What are the necessary competencies or certifications that I need to consider? Such like. Thank you very much for coming, and we appreciate. Please, let's appreciate her. Asante.
Thank you. Well done.
At this point, I will open to the HR panel to you all to ask the question, and as has been the custom since morning, hii church moja, church ingine, hiyo church, na hiyo church. We will give you your chance to ask questions. As was in the morning, we will start from there. Any questions to HRM? You have lost your chance. You have got your chance, please come. You have got your chance, please come. You have got 2 chances, please come. Oh, it's one family, so whatever the rib asks, the man has asked. So please come. Please come in front. Come in front for. We established a rule that the question should be relatable, practical. Don't know theories today. We will learn theories in tomorrow. Or you guys can stand. Wacha tupatie. You start. I think the family is going to start. So, can you consult among yourself who is asking? Yeah, use the mic.
Yeah, my question is actually going out to assist most of our young ladies and men on how they present their CVs. And I just wanted to concentrate on the including additional information and this in regards to achievements. Because I know most of us, when you do our CVs, you want to kind of put it, it's somehow like result, I mean like duty oriented. You want to say, I'm a procurement officer, so you start saying, I issue orders, I review tenders, I analyze, you know, it looks like a medical description, but you have told us that you want us to present achievements. So I'm just wondering, how best can we present these achievements? And is it best that we present our CV in terms of, or youth and have experience in terms of maybe the internships that I've had, other jobs that I've done, and not necessarily sitting in an office. Thank you.
Tech team, the mic is, oh, can you try that one? Say amen.
Yeah, it's working.
Okay.
Hi. My name is now. I have about yeah, my name is Naomi. I have a question about writing and skills. So, I am a trained teacher. I also admin and HR, and now I'm practicing admin and procurement. So sometimes I want to apply for a job, maybe for an educator or a program manager, because I have also relevant for me. Yeah, so maybe I'm applying for an educator role, but I'm not sure whether the procurement or the HR role is really relevant. So yeah, please help.
Hello, my name is Margaret. My question is about the gap in the CV. Let's say I have been working from 2018 to 2020. And then in 2020, COVID came and I'm not in employment anymore. I go and start my own startup. But then because of the business challenges, the startup doesn't work. And so I want to go back to the employment or to the career industry. So how do I put that in my CV that because of the missing gap in between 2020 to 2021, how should I say it to appear that I was still working but not in the formal sector?
Thank you. I've had mercy to this column. Any question? Please come. Oh, so two of you. I've extended the mercy. Please come. So you can start.
Hello, my name is Marjorie. I have a question with regards to interview. Sometimes you go to an interview panel and you have a feeling like the people who are interviewing you don't have the skills to it's not more of professional skills, but more of social skills on how to present that interview. You feel like there is a point of criticism on what you have done. From a personal experience, there's one interview I went and the person kept mocking me like, you passed so well, why choose BCom? And BCom is a flooded market. And sometimes you may ask yourself, perhaps they're testing my ability to stay in a tough situation. But how far should you let this situation go? Do you have the right to speak against this, yet you're in an interview setup, and sometimes you feel like there are questions which are being asked which are not really relevant to you getting that job? Is it okay to say that you can allow some space for the questions you feel are irrelevant, and up to what point should you allow it? Or can you just, do you have the audacity to just say, kindly can we channel this interview to where it should be? You stop asking me why I did BCom, and yet I got the marks that I got.
Hi, I'm Kevin, a BM student. I have two questions. The question relates to the one that she has asked now. Question number one, I want to ask on how normally do you give advices to those candidates who come to attend the interview, then all of a sudden their emotion gets changed. For instance, you have come to your interview, then I came maybe purposely for an accountant job, okay? Then that reception that I will receive, it will make me maybe change my mind. So, like she was talking, maybe I've come for your interview, then you start asking me questions which are not related to that course. After that, I will go home, maybe I've changed my mind, then why did I do accounts? Rather than maybe I could have done something else. Question number two, she has also tackled on it. Mr. HR, I don't know whether those interviewers passes through that what we call IHRM, because most of the interviewers are very poor. Let me say so. You come to an interview, imagine you come to an interview, you are well prepared, altogether. You are coming to meet those interviewers that are asking you funny questions. Again, maybe I'm coming there as an accountant, or I'm coming to take a professional job, then that an interviewer is coming to interview me, maybe as weared maybe a shaggy clothes. Mimi nimevaa tie, then that interviewer amevaa like jeans and a t-shirt. How will that picture show? You see? So I think, Mr. Interviewer, you need to tackle on that. Thanks.
So the last question that must be asked, Yes, please come, the two of you. Just come. These are the last we are taking, then no more. The panel will take time to answer.
Hello, my name is Steve and I have a question to Mr. HR. I was having a I was struggling somewhere where I was working recently. I won't say the name, but I went through a challenge whereby I felt that the work that I'm doing and the compensation that I was getting, given the amount of time that I had worked with them, I was considering myself that it's high time they appreciate me in a direct proportional manner. Exactly. And I had a challenge on facing HR to pop that question, because every time I wanted to do it, I thought maybe it's not the right time, or sometimes I feel like I don't have the right words. Because in most cases, asking for a raise is a very difficult question that an employer can do. So I was just asking, is there a right way of asking for a raise?
Funny enough, my questions are also in that line, so maybe it was meant to be. My name is Faith. I work with AR Healthcare, as I had mentioned, and this has also been a learning. We've learned so much from each other. So I wanted to ask, how do you negotiate? I know everyone does their research, or maybe some people don't do their research when they are coming into an interview, but how to answer the question of your expectation, your salary expectation, and let's say what you quote is higher than what they initially had budgeted for. How do you go about convincing them that you can bring, like that you're worth what you say you're worth?
Thank you very much. Mkiona elders ni elders, unaona wako na spirit ingine wanasikia kama hiyo question ilikuwa lazima iulizwe. I think you can.
So I'm going to be very brief because my colleagues will also give their insights on the different questions. So the first one was asked regarding how to detail achievements on the CV, especially for entry-level candidates. I think if you have gone through an internship, the achievement you're going to list on your CV is what you learned from that internship, because it's a learning experience for you at that point, right? So if you don't have any work experience, as you list, and the only thing you have is the internship or attachment, as you list the achievements on your CV, then it's what you've learned from the experience you went through, okay? And then, of course, if you did make a contribution in the 3 or 6 months you're in that organization, then that is also what you put on your CV. So that's what I'd recommend. And then as to how to detail the duties on the CV, I think not just stating I process invoices or like we said, times have changed and there are new terminologies that people are using. And that's why platforms such as LinkedIn are very important, because you get to see how people express what they do in their field. What terminologies am I going to use? How do I make my CV eye-catching so that you're not just doing bullets of very brief points of what it is that you do? So I hope that answers your question. If not, one of my colleagues will delve into it. Then to your question of your multi-skills, you've done a number of jobs and now you're applying for a position. My advice for you would be to study that job description or that advert, understand what it is they're looking for, and then tweak your CV to match that. Of course, I'm not telling you to lie. I'm just telling you to put the experiences on your CV that will give you an advantage when applying for that job. So, of course, there are things you're going to leave out. But again, and for everyone here really, before you apply for any role, study that job description, find out what you need to highlight or shout on your CV, and then proceed to put that on your CV. Then the issue of gaps on the CV as well. You're going to be asked in an interview to explain why you've been out for a year or two. And it's fine to say you've used that time to start up a business. There's nothing wrong with that. And as to why now you want to go back, of course, things are not working out. And COVID did this to a lot of people. A lot of us found ourselves starting our own businesses, which is fine. But at the end of the day, as you draw your CV, please be sure to explain that gap. So you can put there in brackets, what's the terminology we use? She'll think about it and tell us, but there's a way you put it. So your last employment year was 2020. So from 2020 to date, this is what you've been doing. Personal development, for instance. And of course, if you haven't been fortunate enough to start a business, you can even talk about courses you've learned during this period. The goal here is to explain that gap. Don't just go into an interview and say you are at home. job searching. It's not enough. Again, use this time to develop your skills. That is very important. Now, for those of us who've had the unfortunate experiences with interviewers who are not very professional, yes, it happens, even to us. Yes, we've been to interviews where you leave wondering, Kai, what was that? But it tells you something. It tells you about the culture of that organization. So even if they came back to you with an offer, then you have to weigh your options. Am I willing to work in this environment? It tells you a lot about someone, and Mr. HR, as I've heard you call him, was also saying that it could be a technique, a test, a stress something. Stress interview. I've not put any candidates I've interviewed through that. I don't see the need. But yes, people do it. It's a technique to test your stress levels. So please don't fail that exam. Be as professional as you can in that interview. Do what is required of you. Do your part and go home. It is that simple. And remember as well, if it gets too overwhelming, Ruth in the morning talked about being assertive. There are ways you can counter those questions in a polite way. You know, there are ways you can decline even to respond to certain questions. It is fine, because you don't feel like it is worthy of a response. But do not be rude or don't play to their card. It could be a test, and you need to pass a test to get the job. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones giving the position. And finally, how do you negotiate your salary? Argue based on your achievements. If I'm going to have a conversation with Gertrude about an increase, then I'm going to tell Gertrude, this is what I've been able to do in the last 6 months I've been in the organization. And for this reason, I feel it's time for you guys to motivate me. But I cannot go claim a raise when I have nothing to show for it. Yeah? So there are very many reasons why you can go claim a raise. Think through it and then be strategic as you approach the relevant people and how to argue that point. I think I've covered most of it. I'm going to hand it over to...
Okay, so if I can proceed from where my colleague has left, my name is Onsongo, not Mr. HR. Okay, so having said that, I'll begin on salary expectations. I think here, you should be fair to yourself, and like my colleague has mentioned, you will be required now to, demonstrate your achievements, your abilities, skills, competencies, capabilities, for you to handle the job duties and responsibilities of that position. More, or rather, over and above that, you will also be required to, demonstrate those on the basis of those benefits. Then this is where you are projecting your budget, or rather remuneration, to be. But more importantly, what I tell candidates is that be open for negotiation. Because after all, you'll also have to negotiate. The company has to negotiate. You have to negotiate in order for both of you to... The employer might change his mind and say that, this candidate has demonstrated quite beyond what we were expecting, so let's also be flexible in our budget, or rather, let's revise our budget. On the next question of... actually, that's where I'm headed to. How to ask for a raise. Of course, like my brother has mentioned, sometimes it might be very difficult to approach the HR, because in this profession, always you cannot miss a madman in every market. There are some you can approach them and they tell you, no, there is nothing you've done, so you don't really deserve this anyway. But of course, guided by professional ethics in every profession, whether accounting, law, HR, any other profession, as a HR, you will be willing to listen, and then you go sit down, evaluate, and make a decision on that basis. But more importantly, as a candidate who is, or rather as an employee who is asking for a raise, the most important thing you should do is to position yourself. How do you position yourself? Are you able to demonstrate to the employer that this is what I am able to bring to the company? This is the value that I am able to contribute to this company in the next 1 or 2 years using my own skills, abilities, and competencies. Are you able to demonstrate that you are aligning yourself to what the organization is hoping, or rather aiming to achieve in the next few years? So on that basis, I think you can have a conversation and it's only fair that if it is necessary for you to be given that raise, then you be given. If the employer thinks that you really are not yet in that point, then also as an employer you can also explore your options, or rather position yourself further. As I conclude, CV writings and skills, what I can say here is that speak the language of the advert. Speak the language of the advert. Because that shows that when you're applying for a position, you must have read the advert. You must have understood that these people are looking for this, this, this. So how do I fit in? Or rather, how do I align myself to fit in and handle the duties and responsibilities of what this job requires me to do? So when you apply for a job, just try a little bit. If you are in a position, customize your CV in a way that it is able to capture the skills and competencies that are in the advert. It is able to demonstrate that you've handled some or all or most of the duties and responsibilities, and of course also to demonstrate that you are capable for that job. I think that's what I would have to say on that. So try as much as possible to speak the language of the advert, because as a recruiter as well, when I'm going through your CV, I would be thinking like, oh, we mentioned this in our advert. Oh, this candidate has it. Huh? This skill we mentioned in the advert, and this candidate has it. So that increases your chances of being shortlisted for the interview. I think I would mention on interview, like I mentioned, in every profession, or rather in every market, you will always not miss a madman. At least that is a fact. So I know there are people in the profession who unprofessionally conduct themselves, but that rarely happens. As a professional, what you're required to do is to conduct the interview in a more professional way that is able to make the interviewee less feel like, you know, this is really, is this the kind of person, or rather, is this how I am going to, you know, be interacting with this hiring manager or other recruiter in this company. So I think that is on more of a personal point of view. Like as a professional, you should always remain up to the professional rules and regulations that govern the profession. Don't always behave in an awkward way, which will make you rather lose repute in what you're doing. So I think my senior will handle the rest of the questions. Yeah.
Thanks. Just to wrap up, for those who have experienced an uncomfortable interview session, I'm sorry about that. But a few things to put into, to have in mind. Each organization has its culture. So when it comes to dress code, for example, some are very formal, others are casual. So we shouldn't be very quick to judge in terms of how the interviewer comes on board, because each organization is different and different roles require different. That is one. Number two, when we go for that interview, let's just be open-minded. Just have an open mind, yeah? Knowing that somebody will throw in a question that will put you off guard. But the question is what we were talking about earlier about agility. How flexible are you to respond, yeah, to that particular question? So go with an open mind, yeah? And don't put, you know, don't make assumptions or anything, because we all come in whichever ways we come. At the end of the day, what the hiring manager wants, it's somebody who is skilled, that is able to adapt very quickly and deliver the results that they're looking for. Now, the other things I think have been talked about, but also there's something we always tell people. If you know you are nervous, and we all get nervous when it comes to interviews, please do your research as much as you can for that particular organization. We have mentioned here, speak the language of the JD. Yeah, the advert that was sent out. Do your research of that particular organization. Don't just wake up and go, because you'll find yourself at a disadvantage. Go there at least 20 minutes before time. Why? So that you're able to settle, acclimatize, and by the time it's time for you to go into the interview, at least you're settled. If you feel nervous, and there's some things that we will be able to pick up as interviewers, is we will be able to give you time. And if you see that time is not coming, just request. Can you have a minute? Can I have a minute? Yeah? What's the worst that can happen? You will not be denied that time, isn't it? Yeah, so ask, yeah? And they always say, ask and you shall be given. But all in all, there's a lot that can be done. Just do your research, be well prepared. If you end up in an interview with a suit and you find your panel members are wearing jeans, relax, okay? If it's an environment you feel you can adapt to, fine, pursue it. If not, it doesn't match with your values, isn't it? Yes.
Just word on that. There's something I mentioned earlier. We hire for attitude and train for skill, especially Gen Z. So we have something we call aptitude test and stress interview. So if you find yourself not being attended maybe 10 minutes after the scheduled time for your interview, you might complain, but maybe you don't know why this guy is, or rather this hiring manager is looking to test your aptitude, or rather he wants to put you in a situation where you'll be stressed. So from that stress, you'll be able to be in a position to know whether you have the right attitude for the job, or rather, how do you respond to situations? Because after all, every organization, different situations happen, different problems happen. So do you demonstrate the ability to solve that problem under those circumstances, or rather under those situations? So it's very important to just remain calm, don't be nervous, and enjoy the ride.
Thank you very much, Gertrude, Sana, and Onsongo. Sally and Onsongo. Please stand here for a photo. Msalimiane, mmemaliza. Thank you very much for this. Oh, sorry. Someone has something to say. Please, she was a panelist in the morning, and so she has the chance to.
I have a question to do with the salary negotiation. I mean, interviews themselves are very stressful. So when it comes to tell me about yourself, it's a very hard question. So salary negotiation is also one of the hardest questions that you normally think about, because you're like, if I say this, it could be more for this organization, they might not be able to give me that. So what I want to understand, there's some organizations that will give you a range, majority don't. There's the job description, then salary is very competitive. So I'm asking, I've always had this question that I want to understand from HR point of view. What is this that's competitive that cannot be said, that you can't give a range? Because I want to understand the psychology behind holding that information about holding salary information, because most of the time we'd go for interviews and you're told salary is very competitive. Do the interview, then when you hear how much they're paying, you're like, I wish I didn't even apply for this job. You know? So why don't you just do full disclosure, and just so that people know the expectation before time? Because it's really stressful. I think for me it's one of those very, very stressful questions, because I'm like, just give me what is in your budget. You already have a budget. Why can't you just give the range? Thank you. Okay. Maybe before Gertrude speaks, when the reason some companies would withhold that information is, we want to ensure budget-wise we don't either exceed or we give you kidogo. Unfortunately, it's an unprofessional thing to do, and I don't encourage it. If it was my way, I'd have the salary on the advert, so you know beforehand, this is what we are offering. But in the event that they don't put it there and you go into an interview, please always go in with a range yourself. Just tell them, I'd be happy with this amount to this amount. So state the least you'd be willing to take, and the one you'd be very happy if they gave it to you bila Kiswahili mingi. Always go in with your own range. It helps. It also shows them you are able to negotiate. Again, remember there are benefits. Apart from the base salary, there are benefits that come with a job. So sometimes even companies want to leverage on this. So we might give you a base that's not as much, but the benefits are huge. Yeah. So as a candidate, you also want to hear, apart from the base, what other benefits am I getting in this role? That also gives you you're still doubting, but you're safer going in with a range yourself that you feel you are comfortable with. Let them work with that. Budget.
I think if I may add to what my colleague has mentioned, sometimes why we withhold that information is just to attract more candidates as much as we can. Because if we say that our budget is maybe, for example, between 100,000 to 150, then most likely, beyond reasonable doubt, we are going to attract only those people within that budget. And maybe they can be the only people, but they will not, maybe they don't demonstrate to have the skills and competencies that we are looking for. So we always just leave it competitive so that we can attract as much as we can, so that in the shortlisting process, we are able to sieve and get the right people with the right competencies.
Someone.
Yeah.
Someone is resisting loudly. Yes. 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 The salary issue. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Allow that coach tries to address this emotive matter. I have seen this is the matter that has woken all church corridors. So, coach, try.
One more? Oh.
Another yes.
Okay. Oh dear. All right. Okay. For ages, for ages, the culture in most organizations has been not to disclose the salary when you're putting out an advert. True or not true? Yes, it has been like that for so long, such a long time. Unfortunately, some organizations have not moved away from that scenario. Okay? There are some, if you're keen, actually, let's start with government. Government always puts up, this particular role, it is from this range to this range. So, ukiangalia and you're interested, apply. A few organizations in corporate, yes, have started now putting up the ranges. So that if you're interested, you do what? You apply. So it is going to be a long journey, okay? It's going to be a long journey when we get to a point where now at least maybe over 60% of the organizations are doing what? Putting up that figure. So let's give it time. However, what we will advise, do your research, the particular role you are applying for. I think there are organizations online or researchers online that would give a range of what a role would, what the salary range would look like. So go prepared with that kind of information. If it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, isn't it? But let's acknowledge that we have organizations that have already adapted the policy to be open out there. It is not an easy conversation to have, even as a HR person. If I go for an interview today and you ask me, I struggle with that a bit, but am I prepared? Yes. Do I state what I'm looking for? Yes. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, we move on to the next. Yeah? I hope that matter.
Thank you.
Go along.
Thank you. I would like, Coach, since you're still standing, just address one matter, the matter of soft skills, please. And their importance in HRM.
Okay. So let me ask a question, and please respond. What's our understanding of soft skills? Okay. Any other? Soft skills? Akim Kinyamaza, then we should be having a training on soft skills. Soft skills, what are they? What consists of soft skills? Yes. How we relate person to person. What else? There was a hand here, yes? You wanted to say but? In a louder voice, eh? Okay, yes? Yes? I can't hear you. Adaptability. What else? Soft skills? Time management. Yes? Thank you. Any other? So then why are these skills important? Why are they important? I'll throw the question back to you. Why are they important? My colleague with a louder voice. Bear with me. Why are these skills important? A minute, 1 minute, yes.
The problem is the people on flight. Yes, so they are important in essence. I'm a peer counselor in school, trained, and the chair of all peer counselors. And you are hardly taught about soft skills. They help us to relate with people with different kind of stresses, different kind of intentions and incentives here and there. Furthermore, they are important. Yes, control yourselves. Yes, they are important also to ensure that whatever we are doing goes on for posterity. So that let me help those people with their quite neutrally academic background, like myself. Yes, so they help us for posterity, the longevity of service in a place, how you please the boss, please your colleagues, such a phenomenon. I believe I'm quite articulate and prolific.
Makofi kwake. So, soft skills are people-related skills. Wherever we are, we need soft skills. We need to be able to communicate with our colleagues. We need to be able to articulate with our, whatever it is we are doing with our bosses or whatever setups we are in, yeah? Number one. Number two, there is no way you can work alone. Can you? Even if you're an entrepreneur, can you? You can't. You need people, isn't it? So if you're able to master those soft skills, communication skills, listening skills, by the way. Have you ever thought about listening as a skill? Do we listen to hear or do we listen to answer? active listening. Do you know what that is? Listening, not to respond, but listening to that which is not even said. Yeah? So those skills play a huge role in our career path. Yeah? Things that we need to own as we go along. Okay. One of my bosses, my HR bosses, has an engineering background. Okay? But he ended up moving into the HR profession. One of the things he kept saying was, yes, I am passionate. He had been passionate about his engineering role, yes. But he realized because of what he wanted to achieve after mapping out his career plan, one of the things he needed to put on board to help him grow was the soft skills. We're talking about communication skills, we've talked about them. So please, part of your career planning should embrace soft skills because they will take you to other places. While you have the technical ability on this other bit, you need the people skills on this other bit. Both of them go hand in hand and they play a big, big role in our career.
Thank you very much. The reason why I brought this is because of engineers especially. And in Moi University, engineers, those who are in Moi University know there is engineering and there is school. What was school? Try as much as possible as you negotiate with HR to develop soft skills. And soft skills are also skills about intuition. What is it that? Be intuitive, be empathetic. Try to place yourself in their position and think, why isn't HR declaring this income? And at this point, I end this discussion for HRM. We thank you all very much. Please, HRM panel, come. Thank you. Asanteni. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Photo inapigwa hapa. Now, I have 2 tasks to do. The first task, open your Bibles in the book of Acts 18. The book of Acts 18 and verses 3. The Bible says, so, because he was of the same trade, he stayed with them and worked, for by occupation they were tent makers. Of course, there's a book that says never read a Bible verse. You can read the context. This is the story of Paul as he went from Athens, he went to Corinth, and he met Aquila and Priscilla, who were tent makers. And they had occasion to live together and to talk among themselves. What I've been asked to propose is that information about this will be communicated, information about a subsequent one, and a feedback process among all the professionals shall be distributed to you. So this is a discussion that is ongoing. We could not finish by this session. We tried, but we could not finish. We will continue to talk also about our trades because it is based in the Bible. The second task I wish to do is to introduce my darling. My darling must please come. She wasn't in. She went for a children function, and she just came in. Come. I did not prepare her for this introduction. She went for a...
Good afternoon.
My darling most. I have been your MC. If I nilikuharakisha poleni, I was trying that we recover as much time as possible. I realized that the core of the matters have not been explored. So I support the discourse that we organize another session where we can have independent. But I think if we have built environment only, it would not be good. It was good to have a variety. But that feedback, please send it to the form that is going to be sent to you. Each of you, if you registered your email with the organizers, a form is going to be sent to you for feedback on enhancement and even on selection of a different MC if you didn't love this one. Yes, you say there, the MC hakuwa mzuri, but everything I did, kulikuwa na controller hapa, this one. I was a puppet being moved, harakisha. Okay, you allow. So I hope I served. The last task is to invite the organizer, Fanis, to give the vote of thanks. Thank you all for listening. May God bless you. Come here.
I need to place my book somewhere.
Oh, we move it. Come, we move there.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Fanny Sododa. I'm the youth leader of Eden Springs. I'm here to give a vote of thanks. We are glad today has gone well. I hope all of us have enjoyed ourselves. How many of us have had a good day? By a show of hands. Thank you. I have a long list of people to acknowledge. Kitambo, I wouldn't understand why we need a vote of thanks. I would feel like we can just skip that part. But if you've been part of planning for an event, you'll understand the need of giving a vote of thanks. And so I'd like to thank the following people. I start by thanking S.D.A. Rose, pass our gratitude to CPA Edwin Makori in absentia. He was a great part of planning for this event and also for financing this event. A large part of the budget came from S.D.A. We are grateful for that. For AAR, I don't know if Faith is still here. Yes, pass our gratitude to Dr. Joyce Sitonik. She was also a great part of helping to plan for this event and for allowing the team to come. And I know it also cost the organization financially to have you guys here. So thank you for coming and for being part of this event. To Zeraki, but Isaac has left. I'd also like to give our gratitude in absentia. To Kenha, through Elder Opuge. He has really pushed to help us get the support. They also largely financed this event, particularly to Engineer Ezekiel Foucault, who sent his personal contribution as well. Pass our gratitude, and to Engineer Charity and her husband, and to you for pushing and for doing all that you did. In planning for this event, I think he was the only person who told me, I am willing to do whatever it is you want me to do. And so that is why he had to do a lot of tasks today. So thank you, and thanks to your family as well. To the speakers, to IEEE, through Maxwell, thank you to Kithinji Mujungi and the team. I don't know if he's present or he's left. Thanks to the IEEE and Photonic Society for being part of this event. They also largely
financed the budget of this event, and also they came in great numbers and helped with the engineering roundtable discussion. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your presence and for partnering with us for this event. To our speakers, I think Douglas Onyansha has left. George Nyakweba is still present. Thank you for taking part in the legal part. Dr. Ochanda for healthcare section. Elder Frank, who also happens to be the elder in charge of youth. He, as a youth leader, when there's anything difficult that I can't handle, I give it to him and he handles it well, but he's left also, I think. Thank you for supporting the youth ministry, and thank you for also taking part in the telecommunication roundtable. Ken Katiche, thank you for stepping in for Elder Riro, who got an emergency and he was not able to come today. Thank you for accepting to take part in less than 24-hour notice, I think. Thank you for taking up the task, and thank you for coming today. Sally Janet, thank you, together with Gertrude and Onsongo, for the HR bit that you have done. They also received generally a short notice compared to many other speakers. We acknowledge that, and we are sorry about that, but thank you for taking part. For our communication team, thank you also, and apologies to everyone actually that we ran late today by around 2 hours. We faced an unexpected challenge this morning, but thanks to the communication team for rising up to the occasion and helping us overcome that challenge, and also for enabling us to stream this event for those who have not been able to attend. Thank you to the ushering team led by Ivin and Viva, and all of you for doing the good job that you have done. God bless you. Thank you to Florence, who's been coordinating with our caterer, Felma. Thank you for ensuring that we had a good meal today, and there'll be tea served after I'm done talking. Thanks to our church elders at large. This was, I can say, a wild idea. It's our first career expo. If I was an elder, I'd equally be worried if I got such a proposal to run such an event, and we were telling them we are targeting 300 youth, and we have these big plans in our mind. But they gave us the platform to test out the idea, and we thank God that it has worked. So thanks to the elders. For those who are present, you can pass our gratitude to all of them. Thanks also to our church clerk, who has written for us to get 4, 5. For us to get 5 companies present, Ken Hasbana is not here. Okay, so for us to get 6 companies present, it means we wrote like 30 letters to different companies. So 24, you get a no. For 6, you get a yes. Then the event continues. Amen? So thanks to our church clerk who helped us in drafting the letters, even to the churches. We wrote invitation letters to, I think, more than 15 churches. Thanks to our church clerk for all the effort that he put towards that. I'd like actually to acknowledge the presence of Lavington Youth. I'd like to request them to stand up and to wave to the congregation. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring our invitation. I think also Hillview Youth have not been welcomed officially. Hillview Youth. That's the youth leader. Thank you for coming, and pass our gratitude to your youth department at large. I'd like to thank the Career Expo Organizing Committee. I'd like to request you to stand. That is Maxwell, Boaz, Crystal, Ivin, and Justas, if they are present. Maxwell and Boaz are here, and Ivin as well. Thank you so much for the effort that you have put, for sacrificing every Thursday, initially from 7:45 to 8:30, later on from 8:30 to around 9 when Boaz took up music classes. So thank you so much for sacrificing your time, for all the effort that you have put. May God bless you abundantly. I'd like to thank the Eden Springs youth at large for your support. At some point, we were not sure we'll make it financially, and we did a one-day fundraiser, and we collected enough money to do a deposit to one of the suppliers. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. May God bless you, even for those who volunteered and were willing and were asking, what can I do? How can I help? May God bless you so much. I'd also like to thank the marketing team led by Tabitha, and the team was large. So Akina Mamu, Faith, Dualo, it was a large team that was dealing with marketing. Thank you so much also for your efforts. Thank you, Ezra David, for designing our posters and our videos and all that. Thank you to Faith and Brian Orandi for taking our photos today. And thank you to Eden Springs members at large. I think we were almost running out of, we were spoiled for choice in terms of speaker selection, because I believe we were going through the poster when we were doing a final editing with Ezra, I think last night, and we were just saying how much we have been blessed as Eden Springs Church. We have serious professionals and people running serious businesses and who are actually willing to give back to us. So Eden Springs Youth, I think you are actually exposed to what we have had today every Sabbath and every day that you choose to be exposed to this. It's now just up to you to take the personal initiative to reach out to these people beyond such a setting. So thank you so much to the church at large. Thank you, Glado and Judy McKinney, for participating today. I will send an official the next committee will send an official invitation to you as well for the next Career Expo. I'd like to ask those who are non-Adventists that attended today to please stand up if you do not mind, and if I am not asking for too much. Those who are not of the Adventist faith and have spent the day today with us, I'd like to request you to please stand. Besides the guests that we had, you are more special guests to us, and we are glad that you took time to come. Viva has something that she's passing around to you. So I request Viva to do it quickly so that they don't stand for long. Even our interviewee was a guest. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Let me just hold one thing and then. So thank you so much for coming, and you're welcome to be worshiping with us here every Saturday. And so my greatest take home today from this Career Expo are summarized in 2 quotes that I'd like to share with us. I hope I've not forgotten to thank anyone. I will not sleep in peace if I remember your name in my sleep. But if there is anyone whose name I have not mentioned, I've tried to get as detailed as possible. Thank you to all of you for attending. Thank you for taking time. I know tomorrow is a Monday. Thank you so much for being here today. And so in summary of what I'd like to share with us today is a popular quote by Martin Luther King Jr. that says, if it falls to your lot to be a street sweeper, sweep streets like Michelangelo painted pictures, sweep streets like Beethoven composed music, sweep streets like Shakespeare wrote poetry, sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will have to pause and say, here lived a great street sweeper who swept his job well. Amen? And lastly, to a quote by Ellen White that says, dear youth, what is the aim and purpose of your life? Are you ambitious for education that you may have a name and position in the world? Have you thoughts that you dare not express, that you may one day stand upon the summit of intellectual greatness, that you may sit in deliberative councils and legislative councils, and help to enact laws for the nation? There is nothing wrong in these aspirations. You may, every one of you, make your mark. You should be content with no mean attainments. Aim high and spare no pains to reach the standard. Amen? Thank you, and God bless you.
May we all rise for the closing prayer. Let us pray. Our Father in heaven, we thank you for the blessings that have been ours today. We thank you for the sessions that we have had and for the conversations that we have had and that we will continue to have. If there is anything in our conversation and in our fellowship that may have sinned against you or against one another, we pray, O God, that you shall forgive us. Or where we have edified each other, we pray that you shall remind us of these things so that we shall focus on them and remember them. As we separate now, we pray that you shall allow that we travel safely to our various destinations. And even as we continue in the sharing, may your Spirit guide our discourse and our thoughts. Be with us now and continually, for this is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. The organizing team is requesting that you do not leave without taking the tea. And the sharing can continue, informal sharing can continue outside among yourselves and among the professionals that are there. Thank you very much.